Thank you so much, you two, for joining me today to talk about Tread the Board's production of Seussical the Musical Jr. How are you two doing?
I'm great. I'm excited.
Glad to hear that. I didn't realize that Seussical the Musical Jr. with the extra junior is kind of a tongue twister, so I had to slow down a little bit there to make sure I didn't trip over my words.
Yeah.
But we are super excited for this production to arrive. And we're just going to kind of jump into it because not maybe everybody is very familiar with this story. So, Jessie, I was kind of wondering, can you start us off and tell us what is going on in Seussical the Musical?
Okay, so it basically follows my character Horton, the elephant, and it kind of combines a lot of different Dr. Seuss books. So if you know Dr. Seuss books, you got Green Eggs and Ham, Horton Hears a Who, etc. Like there's many, Grinch. And Horton, he's just chilling, and he hears a little help, a little yelp, if you will. And it's the Who's, and they're on this tiny little dust speck. He picks up the dust speck, puts it on a clover, and the whole story follows him trying to keep this clover safe, away from people who think he's crazy because he's hearing voices. And there's a lot of turmoil, surprisingly, from this little dust speck. So, yeah.
It is kind of cool how it does, like, while it has so many different stories from Dr. Seuss, it does kind of have that narrative of Horton and his journey with the speck of dust and saving it.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, how do you factor into the narrative?
Well, my character Gertrude, so she's from the story "This One Feather Tailed Gertrude My Cuz," and it's Saber, and she is one of the only ones that doesn't think he's crazy and tries to support him through his journey, but she ends up falling in love with him along the way.
So do you feel like your narrative is kind of to like help Horton on his journey, or like what's kind of Gertrude's personal journey through this?
Well, her journey is pretty much she tries to help Horton and like show other people that he's not crazy. But along the way, she's also trying to get him to notice her because she feels that she plays a role in his life and wants her and him.
Truly, there's a lot of this story that's riding on both of your shoulders. I mean, like Horton and Gertrude are kind of the two central pieces to Seussical the Musical.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's mainly the separate stories of us in the jungle world and then the Who's in their world. And then obviously you have the Cat in the Hat, who's kind of a narrator in between both worlds. And the Cat in the Hat kind of transitions both of those stories and kind of combines them into one. So very interesting.
So we're going to talk kind of about your process for developing your characters. Obviously, you know, you have what's on the page, but Rachel, I'm going to start with you. How do you take Gertrude from what you know in your script and bring it to the stage? Like, what's your process for that?
Well, for one, I typically try and go in and find a little bit of background on my characters. Like I went in and like went over her original story to try and figure out what her personality was like, and then tried to just like make myself a little bit more like her. So I tried to like play into her personality and just like bring how she
Sure.
is.
With that, you know, seeing that there is some material, previous material from the world of Dr. Seuss, does it become easier for you or does it become more difficult when you have to like look at that background material and determine like how you're approaching someone like Gertrude?
For me, I feel like it's a little bit easier to have that background because you can see how she is in the musical, but then you can also see how the character is in her original story. And comparing the two helps it make it easier to like bring her personality to the stage.
Perfect. Jessie, how about for you? The same question. What's your process for developing Horton from page to stage? But also, is it easier or more difficult when you have a lot of Horton? You have movies, you have books. There's a lot of Horton out there in the world when taking some of that in.
That's a loaded question, honestly. And like, there's a lot of ways I could answer that. And I'm going to start off by saying when I first watched Seussical the Musical, I didn't like it. I'm going to be honest. As an audience member, Seussical,
Okay.
I didn't like it very much. Um, and maybe that's because I saw a bad production. That's always up in the air. That could be what happened. However, I auditioned for the show on a whim, and I would decided I wanted Horton or Cat in the Hat because Cat in the Hat is my typical role I play. So Horton really stretched. It didn't really stretch my limits, but it was different. It was very different than my usual like comedic role or whatever. Like he has some funny lines, but he's not the typical role I would play. And so it was very interesting going into this and trying to figure out my character because I usually play things funny and I'm like a comedic actor, as some might say. And it's very interesting getting into the character and seeing this is more of a serious role. He has some serious dialogue and serious songs. Like he is very much a serious rooted character. He has some silly bits, but mainly serious. And so I mainly worked on like my timing for when I can mix in those funny bits because that is my strong suit. But I made sure I was grounded in that seriousness, if that's a word. And who cares? It's Dr. Seuss. But I made sure that I followed the character because I watched Horton Hears a Who when I was little all the time. And I rewatched that movie and I made sure I got down his character because his character in the movie is quite silly. Um, and it's Dr. Seuss, so most of the characters are quite silly. But in he's very serious, and so I try to mix the two, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's funny you say that because when I saw that I was interviewing you, I remember you from Putnam, the 25th County Putnam Spelling Bee. I probably messed up that title, but you were very funny in that. Like, and I was like, Horton is kind of a lot different than the character you're playing in that one. So it's interesting that you get to kind of flex your muscles there.
Yeah, it's very, very fun.
So Rachel, with this being the world of Dr. Seuss, which is very whimsical, very colorful, how do you feel like Tread the Board's production is really capturing that world?
I feel like it's been a very good experience doing this show with that theater because we tend to have a very large mix of like very little kids and some older kids. So it's fun getting to see what different people at their different ages and like different personalities and perspectives to put into that because it gives you a lot of different perspectives and seeing how different people are putting that silliness and that funness into the show and making it their own.
Very beautiful answer. Jesse, how about for you? Like, what's standing out to you about how Tread the Boards is kind of producing this whimsical world on stage?
Honestly, okay. So what I'm gonna piggyback off her answer, and I know that's like bad, but
No, go
there
ahead.
are a lot of people in the show from I think 5 years old is our littlest,
I think she's 6
5 or
there.
6, and then I'm 17, and I'm the oldest in the cast. So there's a big range of ages in the show, and so it's really, really been interesting. Like, I want to be an elementary school teacher. So it's been really fun to work with these little kids. And I love doing youth productions in general because I get to work with these little kids and teach them how to get, like, make it in the theater world almost. And like obviously they're 5, 6, 7, whatever. And so they're not gonna grasp entirely, but even if I can help them a little bit, I enjoy it. And our director, Laura Johns, has done an amazing job at making sure these kids stay on track. Even the 5, 6, 7-year-olds, like those little kids, they have been doing an amazing job because our director keeps them on track so much. And Fred the Board's Theater, it's very, very new. If you aren't in the circle, you wouldn't know of it probably.
Yeah.
And it's only a year old, and so I didn't know about it until a couple months ago. And I now with working with them, I really want to do another show with them for sure in the future. So it's been great.
That's high praise because you've been in quite a few shows recently, with stagecrafters and stuff like that. So being able to say, this is the one I want to come back to and do another show with speaks a lot to the community at Tread the Boards.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in over 20 shows now in my 17 years of life. I fit in a lot. But really it's been a pleasure working with these people.
Rachael, how do you feel like this show has either challenged you or helped you grow as an actor?
Well, to be fair, it's been a little bit challenging because, like Jessie, this role is a little bit different from some of the ones I've done before. But it's been an amazing experience because I've been able to see like how to do a role like this that's like instead of like being like a person in most musicals were characters like animals in a jungle. So it's very interesting getting to see how we play these different types of characters and getting to learn how to do that with being ourselves.
Because you're definitely kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit of like you said, being an animal instead of like a person. Jessie, how about for you? How has this show pushed you to improve in your craft?
Honestly, I want to say the same thing. Like, it's been weird playing an animal. I don't think I've ever played an animal. But it's been really fun. Because I like to play funny roles, but it's really stretched my ability because Horton is more serious, grounded in reality, in Seussical. And uh it's been really interesting, and it's definitely helped me grow as an actor because I've always said I wanted to play more serious roles, but finally getting that opportunity and proving that I can, it's really awesome. Yeah.
I love that you said Horton is grounded in reality because truthfully, he is the most grounded in all of the show. But it's funny to think of that
Crazy.
because he is an elephant that's holding on to the dust. So we're going to talk about the songs a little bit. And Jessie, I'm going to start with you this one. So what is your favorite song to perform, but also maybe one that you're not in, but you just love to hear every time you're coming to rehearsal and you're looking forward to that song?
That's so hard because there's so many like good songs in the show. And I used to like hate on it so hard with my friends. I would be like, Seussical is so bad, like I'm never doing that show. Now I'm playing the lead. So my favorite song to perform is, it's so hard, but probably Alone in the Universe. Solace Salute, close number two, but Alone in the Universe. I love that song, those harmonies, and the going from being so sad and being alone to gaining Gordon's best friend in one song. It's just so emotional, and it's so fun. And I love performing it, and I love even hearing my double cast sing it. It's great. And my favorite song that I hear that I don't sing in, probably it's between two. It's either Amazing Maisie or Biggest Blame Fool. Because Amazing Maisie, it's got the energy, it's got the pizzazz. She's very theatrical. And I love those kinds of songs. Like, I'm I'm a theater kid. Like, what do you expect? um, but also
Yeah.
Sour Kangaroo, both of our Sour Kangaroos, because we have two casts for some of the lead roles, and both of our Sour Kangaroos are amazing. And so they kill that song, and they make it their own, and they make it amazing. So definitely those two.
Those are some great answers. Rachael, how about for you? What songs are your favorite to perform and to hear?
I would say my favorite to perform would be Notice Me Horton. That's just one of my more emotional songs. And it's like you get to see this girl that's like putting herself out there, but still isn't really getting noticed. So I feel like it's a very relatable song for lots of people out there. And it's a very sweet song, too. It's such a fun thing to sing. And I would say my favorite to hear would either be Amazing Maisie or um I would say Seussical. I do technically sing backup in that one, but the main melody is just such a beautiful piece, and it's such a sweet song. But then Amazing Maisie, like Jessie said, it's such a powerful and energetic song. It's just always so fun to watch them perform and to hear them sing it because they really bring it and make it their own.
And those are some great songs. I recently saw a production of this, and those are some of the standout ones, you know? So it's cool that those resonate with you a lot.
Yeah.
When we're speaking of resonating, there's a lot of themes in Seussical. And Jessie, what do you feel like of all the themes in this musical, which one stands out to you right now?
Honestly, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Okay, Rachel, your turn then.
For me, I would say that it's just Seussical is a very like out there show. It's kind of like you're just like putting yourself out there and being who you are without like oh, that was awesome. Oh.
Went out.
Without being afraid of like what other people are gonna think of you. So I feel like that's just the
For
whole
sure.
great thing to have.
And then for me, we're gonna scoot over to better lighting. For me, I think the theme that I came up with in the 30 seconds I had, was like believing in someone. Does that make sense? So having someone to rely
sure.
on, like having someone, a friend almost, like making sure that you don't just jump to conclusions, don't just say, no, you're lying, don't just, ignore. You make sure that you are able to trust someone.
I think that's a beautiful answer because I think trust is so big in this show. Like nobody trusts Horton to just believe him, you know, and there's a lot of people that sacrifice trust and stuff, you know, Sour Kangaroo and Maisie being some of those. Before I let you go, I was just hoping to know, what are you hoping audiences take away from this production of Seussical the Musical? I mean, obviously we want them to have a good time, but Jessie, what are you hoping that they really, like, their takeaway from the show is?
Okay, so our director, Laura Johns, shout out again. She, every time we perform a number, not every time, but most of the time, she'll say, when people see the show, I don't want them to say, oh, those kids were cute. I want them to say, those kids are talented. Those kids are going somewhere. She'll say it different every time, but somewhere along those lines. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that speaks volumes. And obviously we want them to
For sure.
like the show itself, the plot, but I want them to see those kids and us, obviously, shine on stage, and be wowed and be amazed and be happy that they saw the show and not think that was a waste of my money or wow, those are little kids or something like that, you know? I really want people to come to this show and say, that was worth my time.
Beautiful answer. Rachel, how about for you?
Well, going back to like the theme I was talking about in the last answer, I want people to be able to like look at this show and take it into real life and be able to like think that they don't need to have like everyone's approval just to be there to like make it in life. You only need yourself and the people that are close enough to believe in you. Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Rachel and Jessie, for your time. And we greatly appreciate it. And we're excited to see Seussical the Musical when it arrives at Tread the Boards. So thanks again for your time.
Yes.
Seussical the Musical Junior arrives at Tread the Boards on November 7th and runs through the 15th. So get your tickets now and we'll see you at the show.